discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable with myself, Heyang. I'm joined by Steve Hatherly and Yushan. Coming up, from gold medals to gold itself. You know, gold prices are already at a very high level. But why are young generations in China still investing in gold jewelry? Is it a mix of tradition, a safe bet facing economic uncertainties, or are they just after the latest, coolest brand collaborations? And life's best moments, from the soundtrack of your heart to little things that make you smile. Join us at Roundtable's Happy Place. Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable China on your favorite podcast platform. And if you've got a question that you're looking up some answers, but AI, Baidu, Google does not suffice, well, we are game. Send it to us. Roundtablepodcast@qq.com is where you can find us. Emails are fine, but bonus points for voice memos. They are always a listener's favorite. And now on Roundtable, let's move on to gold. With gold prices on the rise continuously, it's interesting to see how the jewelry industry is responding by embracing collaborations with well-known anime and gaming brands, from limited edition rings to customized pendants. These pieces are attracting young customers particularly. Well, I guess you can't be super surprised. I can't imagine my mom wearing an anime-themed ring or necklace.
You never know. You never know. Everybody has their own fashion style, but it is what's happening in the gold jewelry market here in China.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, as a kid, I remember my mom purchasing small gold, say, decorations, such as the shoe-shaped ingots of little pendants. And also there's the longevity lock that children wear on their necks here in China. That's very common. That's almost part of the culture to give those gold jewelry as a gift or something, especially to the younger generation. But as the younger generation in China nowadays, apparently there's been a trend recently that, for example, there's this brand Chow Tai Fook collaborating with the very famous Chinese video game that's been viral online last year, named Black Myth Wukong, to release bracelets and rings inspired by elements like those tools in the game. That's the golden cudgel and the headband, which quickly garnered attention as well. I mean, I would be interested.
Me too.
To at least get a glimpse of what it actually looks like, because it will be very cool for the actual gamers of this game to collect something like this and maybe even wear it as part of...
If you got one of those for your mom, she probably wouldn't even know what it was, just think it was some cool design or something. Nope. But this is obviously, I think, catering to perhaps the younger consumers. Gold jewelry brands are no longer limited to local animated IPs, but they're exploring collaboration with global anime IPs. And that brand that you just mentioned, I see those shops everywhere. And I must say, that and the other gold shops that I've seen, the jewelry shops, it feels like I don't see that type of design in Canada. And
of course not.
I feel like I'm walking into some ancient tomb with all of these gorgeous, some of these pieces of jewelry are huge.
Yeah.
And they're on display and they just look so expensive and so gorgeous. Really, really, really pretty to look at.
Yeah.
And lots of money that's behind it.
I remember taking a walk in one of those streets in Hong Kong SAR when I took a trip there last year, and there were many of such streets filled by such gold jewelry shops that's on both sides of the street. It feels like the entire street is glittering in
exactly.
daylight.
And that's what I mean. Of course, we have jewelry stores in Canada, but none that none that I've seen that really focus on gold specifically. And some of the shops here do exactly that, and they're really quite stunning. And yes, also very expensive.
And that's also maybe a cultural thing too.
Right. And apart from the collaboration with Black Myth Wukong, the brand Chow Fox is also collaborating with Japanese anime Demon Slayer. Wow. And also another brand, Cho Sang Sang's co-branded gold pendants, such as those inspired by Card Captor Sakura and also Harry Potter. So all of these brands, now that we are looking at them, are looking at how to design their products to particularly attract younger consumers and also to engage with them in a way that they feel like investing into such products as well.
Would that be because gold is typically seen as something purchased by someone a little older, or in terms of fashion style in China, maybe gold is something worn more commonly by older people, which is why these stores are collaborating and marketing towards a younger group now?
Well, personally, I believe yes, because these collaborations designed in such form is meant for attracting younger attentions after all. And you're actually right, Steve. According to my personal observation, it's generally the older generation who prefers to wear, golden earrings or golden decorations in general.
Well, that was 100% true maybe a couple of decades ago, because gold was thought as being maybe a little bit on the flashier side.
I think it still is
Yeah.
everywhere in the world.
But you have to see how these jewelers in China have managed to revamp and give the gold concept, or at least the fashion face, a facelift. And there are some new designs that have come out, and also techniques to create these jewelry items that are a little bit younger looking, and also maybe good for everyday use. But all that being said, which has attracted younger people to these gold jewelers. But if you're asking some of these older folks in this country, they would still say, put aside the jewelry. We want to talk about coins, ingots, and bullions, and that's gold bars. So, with these kind of items, they're the true investment vehicles in the eyes of these people. It's like, yeah, sure, you can have the jewelry side of things, but if it's really about financial decisions we're talking about, then jewelry is a secondary, because the price is not the same with its sort of investment power, so to speak.
That being said, though, this is from the World Gold Council. Gold jewelry still accounts for the majority of jewelry retail sales in China, and younger consumers, those aged from about 18 to 34, they drive a pretty significant portion of the sales. So perhaps, of course, you're right. What you said, Heyang, is that, if you're looking for a major investment, then you're probably not going to choose jewelry. You'll choose another form of gold. But at the same time, maybe younger people are seeing this as a win-win. They get to buy something that they're interested in pop culture-wise, but also they get to wear something that could be a potential investment for them as well. You don't often get to wear your investments.
That's a really good point, because if you buy, let's say, some of those synthetic metal accessories, yes, I use the word accessories because their value do not last over time. But with gold, I mean, sure, jewelry design or what have you, but at least this is precious metal and it's going to last, and its price is possibly going to go up in the future.
Yeah.
So that's like fashion, trend, as well as investment at the same time.
Yeah, and maybe that's why these collaborations are so successful. Again, from the World Gold Council earlier this year, gold jewelry demand, it dropped by 11% compared to the previous year, but the reasoning behind that, or perhaps the problem, is that the price of gold is what's driving that trend.
It's too expensive, too high.
And it made gold jewelry more expensive for consumers as well. So they're popular, but with gold becoming more expensive, and that's been happening over the past, full year, I guess, it's driving up the price of jewelry too.
Yeah, and nowadays we see that they're trying to make collaborations just so that these jewelry brands, they can leverage these fandoms, younger fandoms, to boost sales, especially with limited editions of such products or exclusive co-branded designs as well. And I think here in China, or maybe in various other cultures as well, gold has been such a product, or made into such products that has the meaning of inherent as well, because it has this rarity and it's got this inherent stability that something can be passed down to the next generations within the family. At least my family do believe in that, and I believe unlike currencies, gold is perceived as a store of value and is not tied to any single country's economy and can maintain its value in the long term.
Safe.
Yeah,
That's it.
Often seen as a safe haven to park your cash or in exchange kind of thing. But also when you see the gold price is this high, and given the fact that last year, just in 2024, the price of gold has went up by 27%, which means if something is that expensive already, then it's really risky if you want to invest now. I mean, when it comes to investment or buying stocks and shares and all that, then, timing, I wouldn't say it's everything, but it's very, very important.
Sure. Yeah. And if you speculate about the future price of, any asset really, but particularly one like gold, it's impossible to do with precision. But this is from this morning that I found this. This is only hours ago. This is from CBS News. There are some scenarios now where the price of gold could hit that $3,000 milestone, perhaps as soon as the next few weeks. They potentially are saying that this could happen. And this is, right? It's getting more, it's continuing to get more and more expensive. You said that big increase in 2024, and it's continuing to go up now. And they say it's connected to inflation. Inflation could rise, and gold has this unique relationship with inflation. Typically, not always, but typically the price of gold rises when inflation does. So if the next inflation readings come out, and they show that there's an increase there, then the price of gold could typically move over that $3,000 per ounce mark.
And 3,000 US dollars is definitely a benchmark, because if you also check the numbers last year, in January, the numbers, I say, quote unquote, only just above 2,000 US dollars per ounce internationally. So we're seeing that, by just over a year or so, the price of gold could go up by a third. That is madness.
In a pretty short amount of time, yeah.
Yes, and inflation was definitely, everybody was talking about in the investment market, especially coming from, the U.S., a lot of Western countries all saw major inflation figures, and that drove up the prices of so many things. And gold, in comparison, seems to be like, a very safe place to put your money.
Yeah.
And also, what are some of the other main factors do you think influenced the price of gold?
They say geopolitical and also economic uncertainty. The rise in demand has been driven by those two things, and as a result, investors are turning to gold as this kind of safe haven, like you said, a safe place to park their cash during these times of uncertainty.
Right.
Gold is different from currencies in that it's perceived as a store of value. And yeah, as you said, Yushan, it's not tied to any single country's economy. It maintains its value in the long term. And it's been revered for thousands of years in numerous cultures and religions around the world because of its inherity, because of its rarity, and because of its stability and you can't produce a lot of it. You can't mass produce gold, right? It is what it is. So that's part of the reasoning behind it as well.
And also there's this global concerns over just safety and all the possibilities and uncertainties going on right now, because we all know that ever since 2020 the world has already experienced major uncertainties such as the COVID-19 pandemic and Russo-Ukrainian war and Israel-Palestine conflict and all that, which have of course further spurred the gold price hike. And right now, for purchasing gold is not just for Chinese as alone, because other emerging market countries such as Poland, Turkey, Singapore, India have already increased gold holdings as part of diversifying their foreign exchange reserves. So all of these countries, they're seeking to reduce reliance on other assets like the US dollar, which may be vulnerable to fluctuations or geopolitical tensions once more uncertainties happen. And nobody can forecast what's to come in the future.
There's been an increase in global gold investment too. It grew by about 25% in 2024. That was a 4-year high for that growth, and that's attributed to the rise of gold exchange traded funds. They call those ETFs. There's also a lot of demand from countries like China and India. They've sustained their demand for gold, like you said before, gold bars, gold coins, and these two countries are key contributors to the overall gold demand increase. So the world is wanting more of it too.
So what about for someone who's maybe got this amount of stash of cash, maybe in the bank, and thinking, is it time for me to invest in this? We're not giving any like personal.
I was just about to say.
No, we're not.
There's no way I'm telling someone what to do with their stash of cash under their mattress.
And that's not what I'm asking you guys to do. I'm asking you guys to give caution to people.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely, when everybody knows that the price of something has gone up, especially to historical levels, then jumping on the bandwagon is often the bad idea, actually. So, just some of the final words that you would leave our audience with this topic.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking to make an investment in gold, or anything for that matter, it's still important. Even though gold is seen as a store of value, the price can still fluctuate due to a sudden change in demand. So you really have to carefully assess what your financial goals are. You have to assess what your risk tolerance is, meaning, are you okay with a riskier investment? Are you not okay with that? You also need to have an investment timeline. There's so much thought and careful preparation that should go through. Don't just give it a knee-jerk reaction, meaning, oh, the price went up, it's doing well, I think I'll put all my money in that one thing. We call that putting your eggs in one basket, and experts say that may not be the best way to invest.
And of course, we need to always remember that no investment is risk-free. And just like investing in any other things, investing in gold also requires very thorough planning and, just do detailed research and understand the costs involved and seek professional advice if you need it. For some beginners like me, that's the first step I would absolutely take.
And here's advice from one investor friend. Well, if you're thinking that, maybe you just want to put your money in the bank, sure, but there's one way that could be safe and also kind of not a bad idea. That is, maybe just take a small amount of the money of your monthly income, and you don't have urgent need. That is maybe a priority. And then just every month, consistently put that small amount into buying gold, and I mean physical gold, and that can be done via the bank app. Everything's just so convenient here in China, I suppose. And then, that's a small, consistent amount, and it's better, return than your fixed deposit, which only gives you, 1% interest rate now. So
reducing your risk, too, because you're only doing a little tiny bit each month. So if there happens to be a massive fluctuation, then you're protected against that.
Exactly. And coming up, Roundtable's Happy Place.
Delivery.
What is it?
Happiness from Round Table.
Yushan, what's your happy place?
Well, my happy place comes from one topic that the Roundtable has already discussed earlier this week. That is the movie blockbusters that came up during the Spring Festival season. And among all the jewelries that's spurned up this year, I'm so proud of one production. That's the Ne Zha sequel that has the animated feature that has taken China's box office by storm. It has officially surpassed the 2021 war epic, The Battle at Lake Changjin, to become the highest grossing film of all time in China.
Wow.
I'm super proud of this one. I've been in the cinema to watch it myself, and I cried multiple times. I can't count how many exactly, but it's just such an epic production to me, because I still remember how big of a phenomenon the first sequel of this movie made 5 years ago in 2019 that grossed 5 billion yuan and topped China's box office that year. And this year we see when the sequel comes, Ne Zha has again break the record and topping and making new records upon all that. And to me, that's like something really inspiring, of course, because nowadays a lot of people are talking about what it means to make a good movie production. And many people do agree on the fact that first of all, it's the technological, the hardcore factors, and then there is the cultural, the storytelling that forms the two core spiral DNA of a movie. And Ne Zha has succeeded in both, because I read about that the total number of shots with special visual effects in Ne Zha 2 exceeds the entire shot count of the first movie. So
wow.
Just on that factor alone, we see how big of a step they've taken in the past 5 years in order to create such an epic production. And I remember some media commented that for the Year of the Snake, for the beginning of the Year of the Snake, this whole scene is historical. So really, I'm so proud for this production, and I'm looking forward to the following stories as well.
Fantastic. And also, there are more than 100 teams and companies of animation that join forces to make this amazing Ne Zha sequel possible. And then these little, well, not all little, but these companies, sometimes they only contribute to like a few seconds or a minute. And then just their expertise is on grand showcase, and not all of them came for money. And then maybe they just get the ending credits, but that's okay because they want to make something fantastic for the Chinese animation industry. So that's really cool. And also, I have something a little bit timely to share with you today for Happy Place. You might not all know of Bob Marley songs, but you must have seen his silhouette. Those famous dreadlocks, yet peaceful and determined face, and the unmistakable charisma that he radiated from on stage. Bob Marley, known as the face of reggae, was more than just a musician. He was a voice for the voiceless, a champion of social justice, and an icon whose influence went far beyond music. And his reggae wasn't just a sound, it was a movement to call for action for those living in poverty and facing oppression around the world. And I just like to share with you that his journey from a small village in Jamaica to becoming a global symbol of resistance and positive change is proof that greatness doesn't come from privilege. It comes from purpose. If Bob Marley were alive today, he'd be celebrating his 80th birthday. For those who grew up with his music, let's celebrate his legacy of being a fighter for change. And for those who may not know him yet, I want to remind you that greatness once walked among us. And even in times when life feels bleak, there's always room to rise above it. Let's hear this song, No Woman, No Cry, a powerful track originally released in 1974. This song continues to bring people together, offer solace, solidarity, and a sense of hope. And that brings us to the end of today's roundtable. Thank you, Steve and Yushan, for joining the discussion. I'm Heyang. Enjoy Bob Marley's No Woman, No Cry. We'll see you next time.